before we talk more football in terms of men's football, we have to just talk about what happened yesterday at Molineux, which was the Continental Cup final between Arsenal and Chelsea. It was a game that went to extra time and it was won by Arsenal, 1-0 in the end. It ends the hopes for Emma Hayes to win a quadruple. Remember, she bows out as the Chelsea women's coach at the end of this season. But it's slightly been overshadowed by what happened between the two managers at the handshake. If you've seen the footage on social media, or you may perhaps even watching the game, you'll be understanding what I mean. But if you didn't see it, it was a very brief handshake that also led to Emma Hayes pushing the Arsenal manager, Jonas Eidevall. Both managers obviously have been speaking kind of about what happened. So we'll hear from the Arsenal boss in just a moment. But first, here is Emma Hayes.
Listen, I think there's a way to conduct yourself on the touchline. I really do. And I think that it's absolutely essential we role model in the right way. But I'm not down for male aggression on the touchline. I'm not. And fronting up with players, for me, that's unacceptable. And yeah, I was disappointed. And I told Jonas that. I don't think it's okay to behave like that. He got a yellow card, and in fact, he probably should have been sent off. I'm all for competing to win. I've never been booked in 12 years, my time here. I totally accept he's a winner and he wants to win, but his behaviour on the touchline wasn't acceptable.
OK, so that is what Emma Hayes had to say. In response, this is the Arsenal manager.
I definitely don't see me as aggressive in that situation. I think that's very irresponsible, putting that label onto it. I think there is definitely a way that you behave in the technical area to it. I also think there is a way you behave after the game, being a good winner, but you also need to be a good loser. And you need to be responsible in both those situations to it. I'm actually happy with the way I conduct myself, and then others need to look at themselves in the mirror and see if they're happy with themselves.
OK, so that's what both had to say, and both with interesting points. Jonas Eidevall there saying, look, as well as being a good winner, you've got to be a good loser as well. But Emma Hayes is also saying that aggression on the touchline is not something she is down for. Well, you've seen the incident with the push. What did you make of it all? And I think ultimately, maybe one of the key things from all this is there is a responsibility on both managers to behave in the correct manner.
Yeah, well, I've stood in the technical area, and there's nothing wrong with being aggressive. I mean, if you providing, like,
but it can't cross a line, can it? I get the passion. I get
what's
you're
the
heated,
line, though? Because, like, if I'm stood in the technical area and the opposition's manager's having to go at the referee and having to go at the fourth official and then having to go at the referee again, that's all right. That's all right. That's all right. You say one thing to one of my players, then I'm involved. If you say anything, shout on the pitch to any of my players, you start having a pop at them, or you start having a pop at my staff or me, then you've gone too far. So you're allowed to have a moan up. That's how we let steam off. The fourth official, they might as well put a punch bag up for the fourth official. Now, that's the worst job ever in the history of football. So you turn to the fourth official and you moan all the way through the game. It's nerve-wracking, frustrating, and there's so much at stake. So what's happened? He's been obviously shouting stuff on. I don't know what he said. He's been shouting stuff on and having to go at the ref or whatever.
Well, he was having a go at Chelsea's Erin Cuthbert for a throw-in.
Was he?
Yes.
So he's crossed the line there if he's having to go at one of the opposition's players. And Emma's probably crossed the line by pushing him after the game.
I would totally agree with you. Absolutely. I think Emma Hayes probably today would be thinking, I didn't handle that well at all.
I shouldn't have pushed him.
Shouldn't have pushed him. And a lot of people are asking the question of, look, if the roles were reversed, how would we be reacting to this one?
Yeah, but it's football. Like we're in a world now where you can't say nothing, you can't do anything. That's just football. One's lost, she's raging.
Yeah.
And he's gloating. And it just happens after the game. The minute you get back in the dressing room, you walk up to each other and go, sorry about that. And you just laugh. Look what we like.
Yeah, I've no idea if that happened. I've no idea if they're that chummy either. I think, as we say, ultimately both were at fault for this situation. The Arsenal manager should have been able to handle his side of things better in terms of not having a go at an opposition player. He was unhappy with the fact that they had agreed on using one ball and, in fact, because they were chasing the game, I think, at this stage, Chelsea. Erin Cuthbert, I think, just tried to grab the next ball that she could find, which wasn't technically the ball they should have been using. So I don't think he was particularly happy with that.
I would have been raging. If she was my player and he's having a go at my player, I would have been raging. I would have said something to get back in your box.
Yeah.
And look after your own team. It's the referee's job to have a go at Erin Cuthbert or the linesman or the fourth official. They're allowed to have a criticise her for taking a throw in the wrong place. But
I think
I don't know what he's been shouting. Obviously, she's not happy.
I think it was that I think from what I gather is, I didn't watch the game, so it's very difficult to really comment on it fully. But from what I gather is, Jonas was squaring up to the Chelsea player, which Emma Hayes didn't like. I think, like I say, I think both of them handled this badly. I think Emma Hayes pushing the Arsenal manager wasn't correct. And look, we will see if they both learn from it ultimately, because they have to, obviously, because there is a responsibility on managers to behave in a professional way.
In football, right? In a football match, not in general life. What is the difference between male aggression and women's aggression? In football?
Are you singling out what she said? What was
why
it?
she
I'm
said
not
male
down
aggression.
for
Just
male
aggressive,
aggression. Yeah, again, that definitely does have a sexist tone to it, you could say, and perhaps not the wisest of words to have used. Ultimately, it was aggression on the touchline is what she should have said, perhaps. Look, both obviously have done wrong in this situation.
Yeah.
And slightly marred a cup final, which we should also say had a player collapse in. And so Freedom Mornham, we obviously wish her all the best. She did recover, and by all accounts, right. I think she actually ended up going back on the Arsenal team coach as well. But obviously that was worrying scenes, which paused the game for some time.
Did Leah Williamson make a start and then had to go back off? I think she might have gone up. That was a bit of a worry. She'd been out a long time with an injury and she had to go off, I think. Right. I'm not sure. I might be wrong.
As I say, I was watching the Manchester City game, so I didn't see it fully. But yeah, as I say, slightly marred that final with the antics of the
Jonas and Emma, well done. Both really, really good managers. Both doing well. Get on with it.
Okay. All right, there you go. Right, on the way next, it's just kicked off between Leicester and Norwich over on talkSPORT 2. We'll bring you an update on that game throughout, of course. And don't forget Game Day Live with Adrian Durham. We'll keep you right up to date with all of the EFL 3 o'clock kickoffs.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.